Hi, welcome. My voice. Let's try that again. Hi, welcome. Welcome to Something to Talk About. My name is Taco, and yeah, I'm here to talk about Guy Lothston for the second time. If you don't know who I am, my name's Taco. As I already said, I don't clear my throat during the intro. I probably should have. And if you don't know what's going on, this is what's going on. Go ahead, pause this, read this. But there's a little added here. This is the first of a kind of the first, I guess the second of a series, because I did this a year ago. But I am recovering characters I covered during the beginning of me covering A Song of Ice and Fire characters. So 2 years ago, a little history lesson, then we'll get right into it. I'll make it really quick. 2 years ago, I started with Flemeth Brax and then Guy Lothston. And then I made a few more before I really kind of started taking it a little more serious. Not very serious, but I feel like after a few vids, I figured out like more of a template, right? And now I follow that pretty strictly. And I didn't for a while. So I want to go back and cover these characters again and give it the respect that I give characters now. I cover them a little more in depth nowadays, and I cover the events around them a little more. And I also, instead of just kind of summarizing them really short, I now go through the chapters like multiple times and really try to flesh them out, more. I don't do that great of a job. So, anyways, Guy frickin' Lothston. Now, if you do not know, as I already said, I covered this dude 2 years ago, November 11th of 2022. It was the second guy I covered, Flemeth Brax. I already covered again as a year anniversary. And if I want to call this season 3, so all of 2022 ending at November 10th, starting again on November 11th, that was season 1 and then season 2. And now that we did that whole rotation again, we're in season 3. And every other Tuesday, I think I'm going to cover these characters until I think I got the first 15 or 16. I don't have it written down in front of me that I'm going to recover. Anyways, that was 2 minutes. Let's go into Guy. So yeah, this guy is actually the inspiration for me covering A Song of Ice and Fire at all. I was doing random stuff on my channel, and I was going through the books as I do, and I was like, maybe I should cover A Song of Ice and Fire. And I made like a couple small videos, and then I went through Fire and Blood, and I discovered Guy Lothston, and I fell in love with this dude who's only in one paragraph and only one thing said about him. And I was like, this guy's so interesting. Why don't I just like remind people about these small characters? And then I thought he was too small of a character, so I'd cover Flemeth first. And then, of course, the characters got bigger and bigger. Now I cover, one would say, not even minor characters, but even supporting characters. And I even now cover characters on the show. But the first guy who gave me the inspiration is this tiny little character. And let's cover him now. So Guy the Glutton. Guy Lothston was known as Guy the Glutton, was a knight from House Lothston during the final days of King Aenys the First Targaryen, and through the coronation of Maegor the First Targaryen. Yeah, it doesn't make it very far into Maegor's rule. Little was known about the knight, but we do know that Guy was hugely fat. Yeah, that's really all we know. Oh, by the way, spoilers. If you haven't read Fire and Blood, this is just going to pretty much spoil the beginning of Maegor's reign and the Trial of Seven. So if you don't want know anything about Fire and Blood, or if you don't care and you want to learn, this isn't going to spoil anything major, right? The Dance of the Dragons won't be spoiled. House of the Dragon won't be spoiled by this character. It was way before, during right at the beginning of King Maegor. So yeah, so spoilers around Guy the Glutton. Yeah, all right, and a little bit into House Lothston. So he is a member of House Lothston, but keep in mind, he was way before House Lothston actually came to power. Their highest peak, House Lothston was in charge of Harrenhal for quite a while, actually, right? And one could say that was when they were as powerful as they were going to get. This dude is like, I'm not doing the math right now, but probably 100 or more than 100 years before that, right? Or even more than that, right? So, yeah. So House Lawson of Harrenhal is an extinct house from a Harrenhal in the Riverlands. Their arms um, are a black bat in a field divided by white and gold or silver and gold, right? Okay, so 159. So I can do the math, right? So this is a little more than 100 years before. Okay, so in 149, did I say 50? 49. Felina Stokeworth became the first mistress of Maegor, Prince Aegon the Unworthy Targaryen, making him, quote, a man, taking his V card, when the prince was 14. Prince Viserys, who was his dad and also Hand of the King at the time, desired to remove Felina from court at King's Landing. So Viserys married her to the Master at Arms named Lucas Lawson and convinced Maegor, or Aegon, why do I keep saying Maegor? Aegon the third to gift him Harrenhal. So House Lawson became the sixth noble house of Harrenhal. So essentially, Lucas became the man of Harrenhal because he made his way up to the Master at Arms at the Red Keep, and then this chick there from Stokeworth bangs the Hand of the King's son when he's 14, and they're like, we got to get her out. And it's like, hey, dude, will you marry this chick? Because we got to get her out. And he's like, all right, what do I get out of there? And I don't know, Harrenhal. So boom, House Stokeworth. That's pretty great. Yeah. And their story actually is rather interesting, but I'm not getting into it right now. And then the downfall of House Stokeworth came when Mad Donnell Lawson, who I will be recovering. So she was another character that I covered early on, and I will go back and cover her again and give her a more fair shake, right? Okay. So Mad Donnell Lawson turned to the Black Arts, causing chaos. And after the line ended during the reign of Maegor, the first Targaryen, the lordship of Harrenhal was given to House Went, who were knights who had first served the Lawsons, but then helped to defeat the Mad family. Yeah, so the Wents are in charge when the main book shows up, and they also have bats on their sigil because they were originally just like household knights of House Lothston. Anyways, now I'm going to be allowed to say Maegor a lot because now we're going to be talking about Maegor's return in 41 AC. So yeah, almost exactly 100 years. So this dude shows up. Guy Lothston's about 100 years before their rise to power in taking Harrenhal. Okay. So in 41 AC, the Faith rose in rebellion against the weak Aenys, the king, right? So Aenys was the first son of Aegon the Conqueror with his wife Rhaenys, and Aenys sucked. He's a really bad king. I wish he was a better king because I hate Maegor the Cruel, but a lot of people love Maegor the Cruel, especially my audience. People love Maegor the Cruel in my audience. I don't know why, but they do. And you know what? I like you guys. I don't respect your opinions, but on Maegor the Cruel, but I really love my audience, and I love how much they support this psychopath. But in their defense, Aenys does suck. He kind of single-handedly. He takes the throne. He doesn't have any strength. He won't show any strength. And he kind of lets a lot of rebellions happen. And he doesn't really do anything about it. And then he makes really, really bad decisions beyond that. So then when he dies of a broken heart or something, right? Now Maegor forces himself in. And he has all these problems to deal with. All right. So yeah. The Faith rise in rebellion. That's the most important rebellion that happens, right? Claiming the reasons being the incestuous marriage of Rhaena and Aegon the Uncrowned, which is one of those harebrained schemes that Aenys comes up with. Plus, Maegor's mini brides also gets them all mad. Also, Aenys was just very weak, as I've said multiple times already. Early the next year, Aenys died on Dragonstone, while Rhaenyra and Aegon were being besieged at Crakehall. So his heir, Aegon the Uncrowned, who I have covered, you can go ahead and watch that, are stuck at Crakehall, right? After Aenys was burned and buried, because that's what they do, Targaryens, right? His Aunt Visenya, who is Maegor's mom, flies to Pentos, where Maegor is in hiding, and then on the back of her dragon, Vhagar, to bring Maegor back to Westeros. Although Aegon was the heir to the throne, Maegor claims the throne immediately upon his return, and then after killing a maester, he was crowned at Dragonstone with the Valyrian steel crown of his father, so not the ornate one that Aenys had. Maegor next left for King's Landing, where the Faith had seized the Step of Remembrance, which was the step at the time, sept at the time, which isn't anymore, on Rhaenys' hill. So then Maegor flies to the city on Balerion the Black Tread and planted his banner on Visenya's hill to rally men to his side. His mother, Visenya, flies there as well and asks who challenges her son's claim. So that's all set up. We'll get to Guy Lothston a little bit we have, but that's all set up. So Maegor takes the throne, boom, flies to King's Landing. The Faith have already taken over like a third of the city, and he's like, here I am. Who's going to follow me? And the Visenya lands and goes, there he is. Who's going to challenge him? And then the Faith is like, hey, for the second one. Yeah. So Maegor's trial. Sir Daemon Morgan, who I love, the captain of, I just love House Morgan, captain of the Warrior Sons. So let's get into the Warrior Sons and Poor Fellows really quick. We don't have to discuss too much of Poor Fellows. But if you look at the picture here, that is a Warrior Son talking to a Poor Fellow. So you see the difference. Warrior Son, they're both sworn to the Faith to protect them as a militant force. But think of the Poor Fellows as kind of like the foot soldiers. They're a lot poorer. They're kind of using any weapons they can. But the Warrior Sons are actually knights from like big houses, great houses, and they are fully armored, fully trained, that they know how to rock, and they're just deciding to then, instead of being a knight for their liege lord or for their family or for the king, they're like, no, screw it. I'm going to take all this skill, martial skill, resources and money, and then support the Faith with them. So that's kind of the difference between Warrior Sons and Poor Fellows. And also, it's the Warrior Sons that we're discussing here. So when I discuss like who Maegor fights in his trial, I want you to know they're not pushovers. They're not just some random dudes, right? They're all some pretty good knights, one would assume. One would assume, at least, right? Okay. So Maegor quickly decides to settle the matter with swords. And Daemon demands a trial of 7. So that's like a trial of combat, but a more religious-y one from like the Angelos, right? Where Angelos, not Angelos. That's in the real world. Angelos, where instead of just 2 people fighting, it's 7 people because of, like, you know, the faith of the 7, right? And Maegor agrees. Maegor has no knights of the Kingsguard with him. He's completely alone, as Aenys had taken them to Dragonstone when he fled the capital. So Maegor turns to the crowd and asks who will stand with him. At first, most turn away or pretend they did not hear him until a common man-at-arms named Dick Bean steps forward. Sir Bernard Brune was the next offering to stand beside, claiming that he says, this bean shames us all. So this guy got shamed by a bean. And then after that, several knights now come forward, including our lawyer we're talking about. We finally get to talk about him, Guy the Glutton Lothston. Along with him, what did I add an E there? Was Bram of Buckhall, Rayford of Rosby, and Lord Lucifer Massey. So those are Maegor's stable, right? That's Maegor's crew, right? The New Judgment Day. That's Maegor. Right? I guess they would be the Bloodline wrestling references. And I don't know, maybe the Faith of the 7 would be Judgment Day. I guess, I don't know. One's SmackDown, one's Raw. Anyways, oops, I love my wrestling show. But yeah, so those are the people who are going to defend Maegor, and that's when Guy Lothston comes in. So like I said, very, very, very small character. I'm literally giving you everything we know about him. And it's not a lot. So pretty much I got one slide left before I get to my final slide, which never is story. All right, so a bloody trial. So Daemon Morgan was joined by 6 other warrior sons. So his 7 are him, Daemon, and then Lyle Bracken, Brackens, Harry Horps, Aegon Ambrose, as they got ants on their sigil, Dickon Flowers, and William the Wanderer, and Garibald of the Seven Stars. They call William the Wanderer, the Wanderer. All right. Daemon led a prayer first. So Daemon's like, let's pray to this bloody battle we're about to do. Many people will die here today. And God likes it for some reason. And then Visenya gave the command to begin. Yeah, so Maegor's mother, Visenya, is actually who, she walks out in her white and black outfit and she goes, get it on. Right? Yeah, that's what she said. She's like the referee. All right, I'll allow it. Yeah, so right away, Dick Bean dies immediately, cut down by Lyle Bracken. Yeah, that Bean shamed us all and then died in like 1 second. Just immediately, he doesn't even get his shield up. Wow. After that, the chronicles disagree on the events. We're going to talk about one specific. According to one chronicler, when Guy Lothston, who we're talking about, was cut open during the fight, the remains of 40 half-digested pies spilled out of his belly. Okay. Is that the only reason I'm now doing my second video on Guy Lothston? Yes. That one line. I love that line. Why does George have to just sneak in something so funny? That it's this big epic fight, like one of the most violent, let's just stick with violent and cruel kings. There's another adjective for you. His like taking over, fighting in the streets, this huge trial, and then he throws in like a Looney Tunes gag because he's George, and it's hilarious that when Guy Lothston dies, just all this pie flies out. And I do like it being more cartoonish, where it's like half-eaten pies. I know it's half-digested, so it's probably just a big mass of pie comes out, but I really like the idea of just like pies coming out, like half pies. I also like what this suggests, that this knight just wolfed 40 pies. He didn't know he had a fight. He's just hanging out. He's like, 10 more pies, please. And just go. It's like, yeah, I'll fight for you. Now, as being a bit of a glutton myself, I know you guys can't see it because I'm filmed like, chest up. You guys can't really see the big round belly that runs in my family, but I got a big round belly. And I think that's where my kinship comes in. And I think we'll talk more about that on my last slide. But that one line, 40 half-digested pies, not only makes me love this character, but kind of inadvertently made me become a Song of Ice and Fire content creator. Or at least the kind that I am, where I'm covering small characters all the time. Once a week. Come back, subscribe, sup. All right. So there you go. Some say the trial took hours. Others claimed it was done in moments. Maegor was the only survivor at the end of the trial, and took a blow to the head and collapsed just as the last warrior's son died. So yeah, he made it to the last second, right? The king was carried off his field by his mother and his supporters and continued to bed, where he lay in a deep coma. And that's where our story ends, because the character that we wanted to talk about that only has 2 sentences on him is dead now. But yeah. Wait, do I got a thing I now play when somebody dies? Yeah.
Poochie's dead!
There you go. That's it. Poochie's dead. Guy's dead. So he doesn't make it very far. And yeah, then the rest of Maegor's story happens after that. So let's talk about, of course, there are no theories. At the end, I normally cover theories, but there is no theories for Guy Lothston. He's too small of a character. So all I'm going to do is going to continue to do what I was doing this entire time, and that is just gush about him a little more. So he's just a tiny little character, so I pretty much already said all this because I can't help myself. I love that he was a huge fat knight, and I wish there was more big man representation in other media, but George gives us a few. He likes to give us a couple big men, and I like that a lot because I'm a big man. I'm not a tall man or a muscular man, but I'm a big guy. This is the character that inspired me to make this series, as I already said. Flemeth Brax was more well-known and bigger, so I started with him, but Guy gave me the idea because he is such a tiny character and he is so interesting, and it leaves me wanting more about him. And yeah, 100%. So thank you, Guy Lothston. And thank you guys. I hope you guys are ready for me to cover all the characters that I covered at the beginning. But this time, I'm going to do them a lot more justice. And there's a lot of really cool characters I covered early on. And I don't have the list in front of me, but I'm going to go back, cover pretty much before I started doing the thumbnails myself. So once you see the old thumbnails, where a really good friend of mine, Galaxy Geeks, used to do my thumbnails, it's pretty much right when I started taking over the series completely. Well, all he was doing was help me with the thumbnails, but I started doing the thumbnails myself. So anytime you see the old thumbnail, I'm going to be redoing those. And that's going to be like Jacqueline Dark, or Jonquil Dark, not Jacqueline, Jonquil Dark, Magina Lothston. So I got 2 Lothstons coming for you. Raleigh Duckfield, lots, Boris Blount, Aemon the Dragon Knight. All right, whatever. You guys will see who they are. I'm going to be recovering a lot of those characters. Will of Will. So, yeah. Thank you for watching. Please click like and subscribe if you haven't. And I hope you guys are really excited for this little mini-series I'm doing when I'm going back and covering those characters. And I want Guy Lothston to get as much love as possible because I love this character. That's it. That's all I got, guys. Thanks for watching. Peace!